I feel like this is fraternal, like we're all pals. Like
that's because
we are, right? Except for this fucking guy. Who cares about this guy?
No, that's kind of true. It's like Jeffrey Ross, Richard Lewis, Margaret Cho, and some fucking guy. We needed a brown guy. You couldn't get Aziz, so here I am.
I think he's doing this in a selfish way to just make sure that his DVDs sell in the Muslim world, to be honest with you.
Well, then you got the wrong guy for that market, my friend.
Yeah, Kumail's not big among the Muslim crowd anymore.
Whenever I perform a show in front of my people, I
Who
bomb.
are your people? Who are your people?
Pakistanis.
Why do you think that you don't do well? Or is it just in your mind that you don't do well?
No, I know I don't do well because they called and complained to my manager afterwards.
Really?
Really? Muslims?
I did a show for a Muslim Doctors Association. And,
Wait, here or in Pakistan?
Here.
Oh, 'cause
in
what kind of-
Pakistan, it would just be called Doctors Association.
Did you start doing comedy there or here?
No, here. Well, stand-up over there, when I was there, was like 20 years behind. So it was like or 30 years behind. It was like very different, like Catskills kind of.
Catskills in Pakistan?
Yeah. It's a fascinating world.
Take my wives, please.
These kids, they blow up so young. That's easy.
I know, it's all right.
I'm right here, guys. I can hear everything you're saying.
But like, so you started doing comedy in here?
Yeah, in college in Iowa.
Oh, okay.
You know, Pakistan to Iowa. That happens.
Yeah.
It's like it's an underground railroad, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, there is no stand-up comedy really in Korea, so my parents didn't understand. You know, I told my mother I wanted to be a comedian. She goes, oh, maybe it's better if you just die. So, like, they were, like, so freaked out by my choice because they couldn't picture it even.
How old were you?
When I started stand-up, I was 14.
Wow.
And I just was like, I can't be a child anymore.
Well, I
You know,
guess it beats factory work.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a different kind of sweatshop.
It's a different kind of sweatshop.
You know, it's a kinder, gentler sweatshop.
What kind of material did you do at 14?
You know, just kind of talking about my family and talking about my parents and talking about my life and growing up and being so embarrassed, you know, just having such immigrant parents. Like
such immigrant
they were
parents.
Such
I like
immigrant
that.
Like,
they were
so
immigrant as fuck.
They were so fucking immigrant.
I like that. That's funny.
Like stories like I would tell, like my mom would never buy me glue for my school projects. She would say, why don't you just use a little bit of rice? Just use a little bit of.
That's pretty fucking immigrant.
A little bit of rice. You don't have to have glue or the tape. You just use a little bit of rice. And I was so embarrassed that I would talk about it on stage. That's the kind of material that I would do, that I still do.
The Outsiders Act. You were an outsider. You felt different because you were an immigrant. So maybe you guys have that in common.
I bet you it's about the same all over the world in any line of work. But comedians wear it on their sleeves. That's their currency, so it tends to come out looking dark.
For me, it definitely came from being a 17-year-old Pakistani boy landing in Iowa and being like, fuckity shit, you know? Being so different and everybody looking at me differently. I think that's where my...
Hey, here's your one thing. Was it just a cheap flight? Is that the reason you went there?
I mean, for me, like, being a minority and being different, I'm so grateful that, you know, I'm like a fucking middle-aged stoner and I could do this job. Like, this is so amazing.
The worst day in show business is still better than a day when I had a day job.
What was your day job?
I worked short order.
I did tech support, which is very stereotypical. Yeah. I really did.
All right, what, you're a Shiite?
How did you know that?
Look at you!
No, there's no way to tell. I don't have horns or whatever.
You got Shiite written all over your fucking
over
face.
you.
No,
All
that's
over you.
bullshit.
No, you are a Shiite, aren't you? You're a Shiite.
Yeah, I am. How did you know? That's...
Because I know a lot of... I dated some Shiite men.
You dated Shiites? So I remind you of your ex-girlfriend?
I'm very open-minded.
You really... That's really impressive.
You believe that, you fucking idiot? I didn't date a Shiite. No, I've been married for a long. No, I would date a Shiite if I was single and I dug her.
And a Shiite had no idea you were a Jew.
No. If there's a Shiite dating you, she's pissed at her parents.
First of all, you're a minority. I think only like 1 out of 10 Muslims are Shiites.
Yeah, there's
right?
so many
Something
of
like
us.
that. I thought they were more moderate. Why wouldn't they date a Jew?
Shiites? Because Shiite was a minority in Pakistan, so to like define ourselves more, we would get even more extreme. Like the Sunnis were less religious than the Shiites in Pakistan were. And it's hard when you grow up and that's all you see. You know, you grow up hearing that Jews are bad. That's what you hear over and over and over.
My dad was a kosher caterer, said the same thing every time he came home at night.
I've heard you talk about your experiences growing up, and it's actually shocking. It made me realize how little we really know about what it's actually like to be just a kid growing up in that part of the world.
I mean, I learned English from like Ghostbusters and Gremlins and stuff. I used to tell this story, but we were told when you were kids, if you looked at a girl with a lustful gaze, it was the equivalent of stabbing the prophet's nephew in the back. And I remember watching that Diet Pepsi Cindy Crawford commercial, you know, where she's like putting the coin in the thing and she fucking picks the thing and she pulls it out and she puts it to her lips. And I was like, I am stabbing the hell out of the prophet's nephew right now. Wow. And that's the problem, I think, is that you can have a religion that needs to be in such a bubble to really exist.
Yeah.
And our world is so open now. You have so many influences. It's hard to sustain that. That's why I think a lot of the violence comes from, is trying to like sustain this bubble.
You think it's sort of like the last throes of that fundamentalism that can't really fight against progress at this point?
I honestly don't see it ending, though. I don't imagine a situation. This is a great comedy show. The world is fucked, guys.
It is fucked.
It makes
I
comedy
really-
more important.
It kind of chips away at hope when you realize that even Muslims themselves don't get along.
Yeah, like.
And
yeah.
what's the difference between Shiites and Sunnis? It's like a clerical error.
Good pun, too. Good pun. Cleric.
I mean, it is, right? What is the difference? One group prays to the direct descendant of Muhammad, and the other prays to the
It
nephew
happened right
of
after the
Muhammad.
prophet died.
No, I know it sounds
guy-
hilarious, but it's true, right?
Yeah, it happened
See, we
right
know
after
nothing.
the prophet
We know nothing.
died.
We think you're just like you're Jar Jar Binks. We don't know
Yeah.
anything.
I'm like talking about fucking Mordor.
Yeah, we don't know.
Narnia over here. No, it is. Right after the prophet died, it was who his successor was going to be, and it was either his son-in-law or his nephew.
So Larry King says, are you sure there's nothing in the Koran that says, kill the Jews? Basic, just kill the fucking Jews. So Cat Stevens said, all right, so maybe there's one sentence. So the point I want to ask you, with all the beautiful Muslim teachings in the Koran, is there that one on page 229, kill the fucking Jews?
Honestly, I don't remember there being one. I don't think there is.
Did you ever
but-
read the Koran?
Yeah, I've read it 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't you get it the first time?
No, it's very dense.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like
I'm gonna wait
you
for the
think
movie.
Ulysses is hard. Here's what it is that people interpret it. So it says
Right.
anything that's an attack on Islam is your enemy, and you fight that. And that can be like, abstract, you know, like it can be an idea, or it can be people. And in our history books, it's always traditionally the people we're fighting have been Jews. So I think people can take the Quran saying any attack on Islam is your enemy, and then they extrapolate that to mean Jews.
But you were taught specifically that Jews are evil.
Yeah, in school. Yeah, our history books were definitely all the original Muslim wars that we studied history were all against, and then the Jews came. And I remember there was a test. They asked us this question. It was a trick question. How many people were martyred in the war? And somebody was like 3,000. Like, nope, 1,500 of those were Jews, so they're going to hell. And this was like in 6th grade or something.
So now it's probably a higher number.
I hope so. We've been working pretty hard. We've been going at it.
It's the first time at the age of 18 when he went to college that he ever touched a female
That
by shaking
wasn't-
hand that wasn't a blood relative.
That wasn't my mom or like a baby. And I remember I shook hands and I was like, I am stabbing the hell out of the prophet's nephew right now. Yeah, that was the first time women didn't shake hands. And
But
that
now
was-
don't you really appreciate it, though? I mean, that's kind of hot.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
What's the punishment for intercourse? Is there a
You
punishment?
get stoned to death.
Really?
Like Ron Jeremy right now. Ron Jeremy's cock is so big it has an elbow.
His cock is so big, Muslims are flying planes into it. No?
Too soon. Too soon. Ron Jeremy's cock is so big it fucked this whole show up.
You had such an interesting experience with the television networks on your own series and how you saw your relationship to your ethnicity and how they did. And I'm wondering if you have any similar experience.
Every audition is clearly parts that were written for Aziz that he got too famous for. Honestly, that is what it is. They're like, this is a cab driver. His name is Aziz, you know. It's completely true. I swear it's true.
It's like they can't stop thinking about you in any other way but a race. And it's so hard to express that you're so much more than that. And yet, you know, it's so weird. Like when I was doing television, they were so adamant about us portraying an accurate Asian American family.
Yeah.
There's no
such thing. It's just people.
It's just
Right.
people.
Yeah.
But they had hired an Asian expert from UCLA to come and show us how to be Asian. And there was like this woman was like, well, maybe you need some chopsticks on this table. You know, why don't you put a fan out? Like it was really weird.
You're like, take off this baseball hat, put on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're in rice patty. That's good. But it was just like they were trying to feed into this idea of accuracy because
But that was because they were afraid of being accused of being insensitive.
Yeah, accused of being racist, which that is another way of being racist is to ask for authenticity.
I go to an audition and I have a Indian Pakistani accent. I'll go in and I'll do it and they were like, could you make it more? And I realized they just want me to sound like Apu. Like that is. It's honestly, their idea.
Right, but
of
if
an
I have
Indian
a
guy
Jersey
talking-
accent, they'll do the same thing. Could you be more Jersey?
No,
for
but
this
their
thing?
idea of an Indian guy is a white guy doing an Indian guy. Like nobody sounds like Apu, you know. But I do think a lot of these stereotypes can come from good places. It's people trying to relate to you. Like I got married to a white girl from North Carolina, and for the first year, her family called me Borat. That's what they called me.
Was that a term of affection at least?
I honestly do think it was. It was
The movie hadn't even come out yet.
They were way ahead of the curve. They were like, this movie's gonna be big. It's like not even the right landmass, you know? Them calling me Borat was their way of like, okay, we know Borat, that makes sense. This new guy doesn't make sense. Maybe we take this, try and get him to make sense, you know? I think
you could try harder.
But it is interesting to me to see how stereotypes evolve. Like our stereotype went from the angry Middle Eastern now to like it's getting sort of the nerdy is our stereotype.
Is that right? Well,
And you know, with the tech support stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's true.
Well, that's a much better reputation than blowing shit up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I just think it means you could be a series regular.
That is right. It's not like a one-episode guest star. Like this guy comes, 5 minutes, he's dead. No, it's true. I do think the stereotype for my people are evolving to be more positive, and then eventually it'll get to the point where we'll hopefully just be seen as people.
What were some of the conflicts you had with the network?
Well, so many. The fact that I wasn't Asian enough, that I was too fat to play the role of myself. So.
But that's true for every woman in Hollywood.
True,
right?
true. But
I mean,
I
that's
had
not an
extra-
ethnic thing.
I had an extra added pressure because when I did television, it was the first Asian American family on TV. So I was like, I will do anything. And I put myself in the hospital, starving, because I just wasn't going to let everybody down. You know, and then I lost all this weight, and the show was canceled anyway, and replaced by Drew Carey because he's so thin. So it was like, this really is.
He is now.
He
He's
is now.
skinny now.
He is really skinny now.
Wow, yeah.
And I think for Middle Easterners, the good thing about 9/11, other than all the Jews dying, was that No, I do think that people have this interest. They want to understand. You know, they want to understand how could somebody do this? Why? What about it makes sense? So I think people have this curiosity. At least where I'm from, people want to know what's going on, why this is happening.
Yeah, that's
Ron Jeremy's cock is so big. Once a year, it sheds its foreskin.
Richard Lewis, folks. Margaret Cho. Jeffrey Ross. Kumail Nanjiani. Is that fun, man?